Welcome, everybody. John Zegar, johnzegar.com. How's everybody doing today? Good? Good. All right, so early in the morning, first cup of coffee, down to half a cup. So I'm drinking my coffee, and first cup of coffee is always the best. I like it. I like it a lot. So I've been thinking about what I've been thinking about and wanted to share some of that with you and, I don't know, maybe get a couple thoughts or whatever. And it's pretty much what I discuss a lot and in my podcasts, and I think it has a lot of significance, but I guess we'll find out as time goes on. Not a lot of people comment back. Wish they would. That gives me more information on what's going on with people. You know, what they believe, what they don't believe. Oh, that coffee's good. So, personality. Who we are, who we become, why we are the people we are. And it goes something like this. We can only be who we think we are in our minds. We have a picture in our mind of who we believe we are. We see ourselves. And that's pretty much where it's going to be. The example that's used a lot by me and other people is just your weight. I mean, regardless of how many diets you go on or how many this, that, and the other thing you try to, I don't know, lose weight, you're going to always be about the same weight. You're going to always be about what you picture your body to be. And where does that come from? It's part of programming, but it's not all programming. We are told when we're little people what life is going to be like. We talk about and model how good or bad life is. If we're rich or poor, if we live in lack or abundance, if we're fat or skinny, if we're healthy or unhealthy. And that kind of sets the norm. That kind of establishes where we are, where we're going to be, and how it's going to turn out. I was listening to a video this morning, and I wasn't going to get into any of that kind of stuff, but this one was pretty blatant, I guess. Brad Pitt was on Oprah along with Jennifer Aniston decided to come on, and the other girl that Brad Pitt was married to and ended up having all those kids, and I think he adopted them, but I don't think he's caring for them. I'm not sure. But anyway, it ended up being a bunch of faces and words being spoken that were as nice as they could be on TV, but not very nice to one another. The thing I noticed was Brad Pitt was Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is a sex monger. Based on what they put out on the internet and all the stuff that we read, he jumps from one girl to another based on if their sexual preferences meet his or not. I mean, there's a lot written about that. It's pretty ugly. And of course, Brad Pitt, in the middle of those two women, wouldn't give a comment of if he's in a relationship or not, or what he sees happening or not, which is basically total disrespect to both of those really nice women that he's been married to. That's because of where he came from. That's his family upbringing. That's the modeling that he saw. That's what he was spoken about. The adults in his family somehow conveyed to him that relationships are important, but not to the extent that you don't have to treat them all fairly. It's basically about how you feel and what you want and your needs and your wants. Regardless of who the people are you're dating. And that's the way his life has kind of turned out. As near as we get when we read everything out of the internet, it's all about Brad Pitt and how he emotionally abuses, women based on his needs and wants. Now, I don't know his addictive behavior other than he's an addictive personality disorder, and clearly, I guess, drinking and drugs and obviously sex. But all that was formed when he was growing up as a child. All that was put into his head. And as a result, he established memories, which are pictures about who he is and how he was going to be. Think, act, and feel, his personality. Does that make sense? Jennifer Aniston, on the other hand, again, just based on what we read, comes across the girl next door sweet. That's the picture, that's the image, that's the memory that she has from her childhood growing up and what was taught and modeled to her. And again, it seems that she's willing to try and make her partner, marriage partner, more happy. And her friendships, I think, again, just based on what we read, her friendships seem pretty important to her. And has she snuck a guy in there every now and again that we don't know about? Probably. Maybe not. But I don't think that's what she's about. Does she have an interest in sex? Sure, she's a beautiful woman. But again, that's really none of our business. That's not her picture. That's not the memory she has of who she is. And then the other girl. What's the other girl's name? I don't know. I guess I don't follow movie stars that much, but she seems like a nice person, but vindictive and hurtful, and again, a lot of things centered around her, but she's mad. She's still mad that Brad Pitt used her. She went out and got all these kids from different countries and probably forced him to adopt them. I don't know how the story goes. I didn't read that one. But for whatever reason, he did. And the relationship he has with all of them or some of them or one or two of them is not real good. Again, Brad Pitt living out the image, the picture, the memory of who he believes he is. And both of these girls that Brad had been married to living out the pictures, the memories of who they believe they are supposed to be. You guys get that? We're not any different. We are not any different. Most of us on the planet are a little eccentric. We kind of get tied up about who we are and our needs and wants. Right? And we pick various relationships as we grow older, and I don't know, probably you have a marriage in there somewhere, or maybe you just have a good friend or good friends in there somewhere. And you either treat them with respect or you don't. Right? You can't imagine not being honest. You can't imagine lying to them. You can't imagine emotionally abusing them. So we all have pictures, memories of who we're supposed to be, look like, and act and talk like. I don't know, maybe there's somebody you admire growing up. Maybe your mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandparent, somebody on the radio, somebody on the TV that you aspire to be like. And that's the picture that's in your head, right? That is your memory and who you try to look like. That make sense? Somewhere along the line, I think things are, for the most part, pointed in a pretty good direction. I think for the most part, we're taught by, we hope, loving, caring parents that want the best for us and the outcome. And they might push us in the direction of, I don't know, a professional career, a labor career, a notable career, marriage, being single, adventurous life. You know, they're going to push us and shape us and mold us into what that picture is going to look like. They're going to also teach us through modeling, because you can watch a lot of people and their behavior, and you'll see both the good and the bad. But generally speaking, I think we sort of want to be good in all of our goings on. Cold's getting better. But somewhere along the line, and I've known people like this, where they start off pretty good, but you know what happens? They get hurt. They get emotionally hurt, not physically hurt, but they get emotionally hurt. Usually through, a parent just not caring when they're supposed to care, not giving them advice that's in their best interest. Stuff like that. And that child, that adolescent, that young adult starts going the other way, and the picture and the memory of who they think they're supposed to be and look like and act like alters or changes. Usually not for the better. Because they got hurt emotionally. Now, whether they were taught when they were a child, they're not ever going to get emotionally hurt, and just didn't know any better, that that's part of life, and then they become judgmental and end up going south from where they started. I don't know. But there seems to be a lot of people that get angry because they get hurt, because they believe it's not fair, and they cheat and lie and do whatever they have to do in order to feel better in their own mind. And they become somebody else. You see that a lot in families, and boy, do I talk to a lot of people that tell me stories. Just this past week, I had a good friend talk to me about families and how families can turn on one another, basically because they felt hurt, I don't know, maybe rejected, maybe abandoned, maybe ostracized. I don't know, something to do with their feelings being different than what they imagined, and all of a sudden they just cut you out. What a sad, sad state of affairs for that person and who they thought they were going to be and who they ended up being. They have to live with, get this is the sad part, they have to live with cutting somebody out of their life because they got hurt emotionally. They weren't intelligent enough, nor taught the intelligence or given the intelligence to go and resolve it. And the rest of their life is not the picture or the memory of who they think they were supposed to be. Jennifer Aniston, she's bitter. That other girl, I don't know why. I can see a picture of her face, but I don't know her name. She's real bitter. She's passive-aggressive bitter. And Brad Pitt has just never been brought up correctly to know how to handle emotions. No idea. Brainless. If I were either of those two girls, who obviously have more going for them than Brad Pitt, they ought to never go down that path again. There's probably other guys a little more capable of dealing with their emotions than Brad Pitt in the way he mishandles all of his. So here's the takeaway. The takeaway is you don't have to be who you evolve into as a result of. I hope you understand that. You can be the picture, you can be the memory that was good and healthy and healing. You can still be that person. I encourage everybody to sit down, meditate on who you are now, who you thought you were going to be, excuse me, and if you've changed, figure out why. What happened? Did you get hurt emotionally? And if you can identify what the negative was that caused the changes, just go back, change it. Just go back and change it. You're not stuck where you're at. I support Brad Pitt going into therapy, if he hasn't already been forever and ever. But going back and trying to identify where it went south for him. He probably grew up in a loving family, but somewhere it went south. And he never was given that piece of the puzzle on how to not let it go south. Same with the other girls, the other two girls. Somewhere in there is a piece of the puzzle that was left out. And for that's probably true for a lot of us. I like who I am. Of course, I'm not in a relationship of sorts, so therefore, I'm not subject to some of that stuff I'm talking about. But think about it. Think about it. The original picture or memory that you have and had is good. I encourage you to go back and find it. God bless everybody. Take care of one another, and I look forward to talking to you all again real soon. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.